Well, um, so I got some good advice from some folks from a couple different forums who told me to stay focused on the carburetor. And sure enough, I went ahead and tinkered around with the hose clamps, and I put the air cleaner back on, and just anything that might remove an air leak. And sure enough, the the whole thing calmed way down, and I was able to actually get it to idle at 1,000 RPM. I know these guys aren't like super accurate, but yeah, ballpark, right? Better than it was, anyway. And yeah, no backfiring, no smoking, just a nice steady thump, 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 thump. So pretty happy with that. Except I started fiddling with the air fuel mixture screw, and about that time, the engine died, and I haven't been able to get it started again since. I also noticed when I put fuel in it that it was leaking out this bowl vent. In fact, yeah, there's still gas on it. But yeah, I got stuff coming out there, so I'm pretty sure I flooded the engine, and that's why it wouldn't start again. So it looks like the carburetor is going to come back off. While I was doing that, I also finally pulled out some of the plastic bits that I've been wanting to paint, and I got them painted. So I sanded them down a bit. They're not perfect. There's a few spots, that you can see there, but it's better than it was, and way cheaper than buying new ones. So this may have to be replaced someday. It's pretty brittle. It's already been repaired several times in the past. You can still see cracks going on, and so that may yet have to be replaced, but those are expensive. If I can get away with that guy, I'll keep that guy for a while, even if he doesn't look perfect. But these came out okay. This one had some scratches on the front, and so it's not completely uniform, but at least they all match now. And eventually the gas tank will be painted that same color, and the cover for the rear brake drum is also painted that color. So this came out really good, mostly because I took all the paint off of this and started with primer on the bare metal. Unfortunately, it got dropped while all this was happening, so there's a little crack in the paint, but I think it turned out okay. So, okay, so some things came in the mail, and I did some things. So, I took the old intake manifold off, and almost all of the gasket came with it, so that was kind of nice. Turns out there were no leaks happening here, but I had already ordered the new piece, which is here, and that showed up in the mail. It fits perfectly. All little notches and things line up just great. So, and this came from Vintage Spoke, by the way. And apparently, when you buy the manifold, they give you a complimentary gasket. I didn't realize that, so I bought my own gasket, so now I got two. Doesn't hurt to have spares, right? What else? I got a little carburetor cleaning kit in the mail with little tiny files, round files, and little scrub brushes. So far I've just used the scrub brushes. What else? oh, I can't remember if I said this in the last video or not, but I went ahead and took the carburetor all apart, re-cleaned it, put it back together. I did find a couple little black contaminants on the bottom of the float bowl, and I also found one up in here where the float needle seat sits. There was one lodged up in there, so that may have been the culprit as far as this guy flooding. I don't know if that's the same as causing it to run extra rich. I'm not sure, but while I was ordering things, I went ahead and got an inline fuel filter, and I also found this guy, which hopefully will replace this guy. So they're almost identical. The new one is just a tad shorter than the old one. This, I don't know what this one goes to. From what I read, it goes to like, I don't know, like 100 different vehicles, that use similar carburetors, I guess. So I still can't identify this guy. It's once again, I spent hours and hours going through the internet looking for anything and everything Mikuni, because I know it's a Mikuni. And I looked up the 3H109, and I found nothing. Everything I found that was anywhere close to this was the VM34SS, whose parts don't fit this guy. So, like for example, the mixture screw doesn't go here; it goes over here. And all the carburetors that I found that take these don't look anything like this. So I continue to be completely baffled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fit this new one in here. I read that if these are worn, they can cause an extra rich mixture, which is what I have now. So I'm going to put that in there. And where did my screwdriver go? Oh, here it is, right there. So screw that down, and then I'm going to go half, one, and half again. The best instructions I can find for the Yamaha carburetors is that if it's a SR500, you do 1 1/4 turn, and if it's a different one that uses the same carburetor, it's 1 3/4 or something like that. So I don't know. I'll just start it at 1 1/2. That might be too much, but I can adjust it. I can turn it clockwise a 1/4 turn, and if it's not running quite right, and see if that improves it. Okay. The other thing is I pulled this clamp cover or manifold cover off the old one. I believe that this guy protects the soft rubber. So there's hard rubber here. This piece here is hard rubber, and then the rest of this is soft rubber. So I think this guy protects this from getting bitten into by the clamp here. And boy, that screw is just about done. but it's still working. It hasn't given me any issues. Get one of my... See, that guy's sealed, so I'm going to leave him be. This guy comes in a nice little resealable envelope, so I will open up this guy. I've already cleaned up the surface, the gasket surface on the motorcycle, so that guy will go on, and he's big enough, it seems, that he won't interfere with the opening. So this is the unrestricted version, but it's pretty much identical to the one that came off. So either someone already put an unrestricted version on, or let's see, that's going to go to the bottom there. So we're going to want, we're going to want the screw to go that away. So there we are. I'm going to put just a tiny dab of 10W40. Okay, folks, it's working. It's right around just over 1,000 RPM. No pops, no backfires, no leaking, and I can even give it a little bit of gas, and it doesn't stall. Oh, and the choke enricher is all the way off, so this is running nice and normal. So let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to let this run until it runs out of gas, because you know, savor your victories, right? So now I can move on to other things. So next time, hopefully I'll remember to check the battery and the charging system. I just thought to do that. I got my multimeter out and it ran out of gas, and I didn't feel like filling it up again. So I'll do that later, another time. But yeah, so the ow, ooh, wow, I forgot that the engines get hot when they run. This engine's never been hot before since I've owned it. Anyway, the intake manifold seems to work perfectly. I got my little vacuum tube blocked off. I had to increase the the idle speed just a tad. I had to tighten up some of these clamps because it still wanted to dribble gas out the clamp here, which isn't good. But after that, no problem. Air filter plugged right in, like it always does. It didn't need very much adjustment on the mixture screw. Let's see where it is now. It's right about where I had it. I adjusted it one way until the RPMs fell off, and adjusted it the other way until the RPMs fell off again, and just kind of moved it back and forth until I got pretty much the best RPMs. At one point I could hear it backfiring through the carburetor again, but it wasn't as noticeable with the air filter on. But yeah, it's like, okay, well that's too lean, let's go back the other way. But yeah, I think about ouch. I'm going to have to get used to the fact that this engine actually runs now, and it's going to be hot. Look at that, I'm already getting a rash on my finger from touching the other side. Anyway, so it only took about 4 kicks. One last thing I thought I'd mention is I've heard over and over again the general consensus with these uh, little round microfiles is that you shouldn't run them through the brass parts, like the parts that actually do the metering of the fuel, because these can actually make subtle changes to the shape and size of those things, and a subtle change in a carburetor can cause a drastic change in the carburetor's performance, and therefore the engine's performance. So yeah, so I mean, these are kind of neat for, like, poking into channels, in the aluminum and making sure they're clear, but I wouldn't use them on the pilot jet or the main jet or the needle seat. Maybe the needle seat is large enough that you shouldn't need one of those. It should just clear out with cleaning fluid. But these guys are cool. These are what I really wanted. So I got a few steps before this thing can be test ridden, but the engine works, and that is the reason it was put away 11 years ago now. I could say 10 years, but I got it last year. So I got it in March, I think. So it's been over. I've had it for a year and a couple months now, I think, and it is finally running. So I hope that this was a fun video, an informative video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for future videos, not only of the motorcycle, but some other stuff I'm working on now that I'm finally feeling better. And thanks for watching.